long gone. Good to hear from you, bitch. It's Chris Black. Jason, what's going on?
Hello, bitch. It is me, them jeans. What's up?
What's up, bro? Just getting my cables correct. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just on the grind. It's another day in New York City. Just getting ready to head out to Mexico tomorrow. I saw some pictures of Brooks Nader and her sister on the beach in Mexico, and I wonder if do you think the crowd at the Wilco Sky Blue Sky Festival is going to look in any way similar to Brooks Nader and her sister sort of playing on the beach in Cancun?
Let's see here. I think I have the photo pulled up. It's funny because Brooks Nader really just sounds like a 56-year-old country musician, you know, just like a guy from Kentucky.
No, it does. No, I mean, I agree.
Or like a young new quarterback coming out of Oklahoma.
Oh, Brooks Nader, I mean, the rushing yards alone, I mean, this guy's crazy.
And not a woman that appears to be designed by Grok.
I mean, if that's what Grok's doing, I'm going to start using it.
Brooks Nader, Las Ventanas al Paraíso. The caption, old lips, new clothes, same me. What does old lips mean?
She dissolved all of her filler to make her dad happy.
Love that you know this.
So I just wanted, I mean, it's something you could think. I know your mom's sort of been on you about.
She said, I want my baby back.
Yeah.
I look at you, I don't know who you are.
I can barely recognize them big titties from across the beach. So she's getting the filler removed, which caused, I was talking about, because everybody's talking about Emma Stone's new face. Yeah. Emma Stone has a new face. She looks amazing. Mm-hmm. And
it made me forget her Golden Globes look.
All women are talking about it, chattering about it. And there's that guy on Reels or TikTok or whatever that sort of like breaks down all, and of course
60 cc's of
we of course pulled that up at my household as soon as Emma made her debut. And it's like, it's a lot of stuff, but I think it's just of the highest quality.
It's a top-down fundamental restructure, reorg.
But she doesn't look not herself to me. She just looks like the best version of herself, which is...
I'm going to push back on their playa because I think that she crossed a little bit into the danger zone, the uncanny valley, because I'm seeing people and they're posting photos of like everyone is starting to look like the same person. So she has become 50% the same person, the ideal facial looks maxing program based on whatever criteria that was designed by Persian guys in Beverly Hills. And then 50% Emma Stone, the God-created, mother-birthed face.
Well, let me tell you something, Jason. What do you want to be? Do you want to be looks maxing clavicular 50% and 50% real TJ? Or are you good being 100% real TJ?
100% real TJ always and forever.
I'm with you, but I think that as a woman in Hollywood, the pressures are immense, especially when the budget is no issue. You know what I mean? When you can spend literally $1 million to get everything at the highest degree.
To me, this is a waste. It's a waste of a face. Emma Stone has been a very successful actress. She then redoes her entire face. She does look good. I'm not going to argue with that. But her acting career she's still busy, but her success and I feel like her stock and her day rate has sort of gone down into like the world. You know, she's doing these Yorgos flicks that make $7 million and nobody sees them, and people watch Begonia more because Stavi's in it. You know,
I wouldn't go that far, but
she's not like doing anything.
You're absolutely wrong.
Okay, check the sound scan, bitch. You want to do this?
No, but that's not the point. That's not the point. Once you win an Oscar,
the point is what? To get the Bulgari airport ad.
That makes you more money than any movie. So yes,
I know, but I'm saying she doesn't need any more money. I mean, I guess that's why she's doing these Yorgos flicks.
Everybody needs more. This is what people say this all the time. Everybody needs more money. What are you talking about? Everybody needs more money. I hate this argument. No matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much money you give to charity, you still want more.
Oh, well, you just change it from need to want. You can't do that, you little shiesty bitch.
I think it's all, I just don't think this whole thing.
Two very different words.
They don't need any more money doesn't mean you're not going to make any more money when it's handed to you, though. You know what I mean? It's not like she's...
Yeah, but I'm saying the money is being handed to her, so why are you going and putting the car up on bricks and getting under the hood and redoing the whole thing when everything was running fine?
What you're forgetting, because what you're forgetting is...
Am I forgetting Father Time and his aging?
As usual, well, as usual, you're discounting the patriarchy and the pressures put on women to look young, no matter how
I
old
like
they
to
are.
think that Emma operates outside of those laws and rules. I don't think she's.
No one operates outside. These things exist because no matter how much money you have, the insecurities still lurk. Because that stuff's I think that stuff's sort of baked in at a certain age, and no matter what, you feel good some days, you feel less good the other days. But when you have to look at yourself, I mean, look what Zoom's done to people. Imagine that being, imagine your face being on billboards and movie screens and television screens for your entire life.
I just wonder,
like
if you get 12 different things done to your face, and you look at one of your contemporaries who didn't. Do you think to yourself?
Well, that's the thing. Who
Jesus.
didn't? That's the question. Who does the
Okay,
question?
I mean,
which contemporaries are you talking about, big dog?
I feel like Jennifer Lawrence seems to.
You're no,
sort
bro,
of look.
No. You are wrong, sir. Jennifer Lawrence has definitely. I mean, I think. It's
of course, everyone's had a little work done, but there's
no.
But
I think
everyone
is
like no one has said Jennifer Lawrence has an entire new face.
Well,
no one's ever said that.
I think that.
There's like dissertations written about how much work Emma Stone has had done.
But that's just because I think
she was a one-of-a-kind, unique face.
I mean, do you want to be one-of-a-kind, unique, or bad as hell?
Jennifer Lawrence openly addresses her plastic surgery rumors, admitting to using Botox, but has never used fillers.
Well, that's fine. But this is what all these people do. It's like Kendall Jenner saying she's never done anything. It's just you can just lie. Like, what is the proof?
I know.
I think the proof is also
but you could tell the uncanny valley. You could tell.
You can't tell. You definitely can't, and I don't think I can either. Is what I'm trying. I'm trying to tell you that these chicks are playing at a level that is incomprehensible to the male gaze. Unless you're a medical doctor. That's all I'm saying. But I think that obviously I like that you just do whatever you want. I think the speculation around it is like pretty crazy, but there's no question. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this side by side. There's no question that Jennifer Lawrence, they've all done something. I think that's
the only difference between these photos is 20 years and eyeshadow. And I did not mean to sound so gay when I said that.
That is the gay. I was about to say I texted you earlier because Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are promoting some new movie where they're in it together. And there was an Andy Cohen, is sort of like looking for a Brokeback Mountain type storyline for these two. And Matt Damon reveals to Andy that he and Ben almost adapted the Dreyfus Affair, which is a book about two baseball players who fell in love, but the script just wasn't good enough. My question to you is, now that this script has been mentioned again in the press, do you think we've got some agents over at CAA or William Morris trying to package this thing up and get Austin Butler and Jacob Elordi to kiss? Like, do you think this idea still has legs? And who are the young hotties that should sort of fill in for Matt and Ben as they cross over into sort of the last half of their life?
Well, to me, it's the timing of this resurfacing while the biggest thing in culture is two guys playing sports who, what if they kissed?
Well, that's why this came up. I mean, that's why this came up.
Yeah. Matt is eating Canadian nachos. He's eating Heated Rivalries poutine, trying to get some scraps for the Dreyfus Affair. But I mean, it'll definitely work. It doesn't matter who. I mean, this is the tree that keeps on giving. I mean,
anybody
like we were talking about on literally the last episode 24 hours ago or whatever it was. Like, what is Heated Rivalry about? It doesn't matter. What is this baseball movie about? We find the two hottest young male actors doing manly stuff that's super straight, and then what if they kissed? And then that is it.
Do you think there's
apple pie and vanilla ice cream? It's never going to stop.
Do you think, though, in a post-Heated Rivalry world, that we could do it with nobodies the way that Heated Rivalry was, or do you think now we might need a little somebody?
I mean, challengers, they weren't nobodies, but they weren't A-listers at the time, right?
No,
they were still a little relatively,
Zendaya, but Zendaya is in it. You know what I'm saying?
True,
there's other reasons to. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I wonder. I mean, I think that like baseball is strangely the least gay sport that I can think of. Actually, like as far as like physical touch, you know what I mean? Like football is extremely homoerotic.
Yeah.
Hockey, I didn't think it
Yeah,
was.
there's not
but
a lot
obviously
of
it
what
is.
if a big strong man pinned me down when you're in.
No,
when
there's
you're
no
in
pinning.
fourth.
There's no Jeremy Allen White in a singlet wrestling. This is just straight up like guys that are 20 pounds overweight now, like swinging a bat.
You know, maybe is golf the straightest sport, followed by baseball?
Yeah, you're probably right because there's zero contact in golf. It's just you and the
Zero.
balls. Just you and the balls.
Exactly.
But it's so that does change the equation. Changes the equation just a little bit. Just a bit
Me
outside.
and the balls.
Just a bit outside. Yeah, I was happy. I like that Matt Damon and I think when they do press together, it reminds you how likable they both are. Because I think Ben Affleck is a very, very smart, talented guy that gets a lot of flack for his personal life. And I think when they get together, it's actually quite funny and entertaining, no matter what they're promoting. Which I think is good for us all, since we're used to these fucking brain dead celebrity interviews where nobody says anything or has any fun.
Yeah, can you wait? Hold on 1 second, Chris. Sorry. Sorry about that. I was just shitting in the mother toilet. Where were we?
We were talking about Affleck and Matt Damon being so charming that you forget that like actor. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, this motherfucker. Damn. Okay. Well, it looks
Prompt
like
ass motherfucker.
Speaking of
here.
shitting in the mother toilet, our guest is here 3 minutes early.
We'll see you in Mexico if you're going. And can't wait to see Jason on the beach frolicking. But we do have a guest today.
Thanks for all the people who reached out and said they're gonna smuggle gummies over the Mexican border for me.
I don't think that's that dangerous. Joe Weisenthal is here with us today. He is a longtime executive editor at Bloomberg News, but he also does the very popular Odd Lots podcast.
A podcast stalwart
That talks about stuff that is far, far above Jason and I's pay grade.
No, they talked about a racist restaurant in Washington, D.C. that's right up our alley.
Oh, hold on. Okay, so we do have something to talk about because
MAGA bites.
I was just going to ask for stock tips and see if I should buy gold or not. But we've got
What's going on with AI?
All right, so let's give Joe a buzz. I'm sure he's in a professional studio with a real microphone.
He is. He's very well lit.
Thank you for joining us on How Long Gone.
Thanks for having me.
And I
thrilled to be here.
I just want to say that this is Jason, and I'm sure you'll agree, this is the best we've ever had as far as professionals. This guy's wearing a blazer. He's in a fully lit studio. He has a microphone. It looks like he has an IBM laptop, and that's how serious this is.
It is. It's a Lenovo. Yeah. No, this is serious business. I didn't used to wear blazers, but it's Mamdani's New York City, and I think that's a message. We all got to start dressing up a little bit more.
Oh.
I think that's the message I take.
Even on audio-based podcasts, because you can
on an
hear
audio-based podcast. That's
Our
right.
listeners can hear.
Yeah.
I was just looking at a tweet about Mamdani's wife being the first person to ever make anti-police cartoons with a 24-hour police detail trailing her everywhere she goes, which I thought was a fun little observation.
What are your thoughts on that dichotomy, Joe? Just to get things started.
What a world. Interesting times we live in. Great for the content business.
It is great for the content business. But can you explain to me, I would like to, and I don't know if you're an expert on the rise of Lenovo, but it does seem like the Lenovo machine has sort of replaced the IBM ThinkPad as sort of like the working man's laptop. Do you have any insight on that?
Well, I don't think that. I think what happened was this is a Lenovo ThinkPad. I think Lenovo bought IBM's hardware business.
I'm sorry.
That's what happened. So it has the red button in the middle.
That's what I was looking for, the kill switch.
You got the IBM clit, baby.
IBM clit. We all know it as that.
The red button is in the middle of the keyboard.
Okay, so are you using an IBM Windows-based machine because of a contractual obligation?
No, I have no sponsorship with Lenovo, but in my experience...
It's not a joke question. It's the likelihood of that being real is over 50%.
If Lenovo wants to reach out and have me be an influencer, maybe that conversation could happen. But the Bloomberg terminal, through which I do all my work, works best on a PC, and the best PCs are... in my opinion, the best are ThinkPads, or at least the best laptops are. As such, that is why
Can you do us a favor? And because I didn't know what the Bloomberg terminal was until I moved to New York and started, being told to hate finance guys. But I think a lot of our listeners, especially in flyover states, have never experienced a terminal of that magnitude.
Sure.
So
thanks to HBO's Industry, we all know what it is now, of course, but not everyone has that network.
Explain to me what the Bloomberg terminal is, how much they cost, what the ins and outs are of using one of those on a daily basis.
And why can't an Apple machine power it? I'd love to hear, Joe.
Okay, let me take these a few at a time. I don't know exactly why it is more optimized for PCs, except that, historically speaking, Wall Street and finance has used PCs, and that's the default, and so therefore,
because they think Apple is gay. I get it. Because I can like design a CGI, Fast and the Furious trailer with my MacBook Pro, but I can't do.
It's for
Apple
creatives.
stock is down 3%.
Apple is for creatives.
Yes.
Although there's plenty of creative people in finance. But then, so what is the Bloomberg terminal, which is, it's the greatest piece of software in the world, in my opinion. It's how I work. And it is essentially this piece of software that exists on your computer that has, I would say, essentially two main functions, which is one is an incredible access to financial data of all sorts, including various charting and analytical functions.
Silver's up, gold is down.
Silver's up,
like
silver's up, gold, yeah, exactly like that. Or, some bond that trades in Vietnam or whatever, that you can track that very easily too. And then there's a bunch of analytical tools on that, but charting, but also other more, the statistical properties of various market moves. And then the other big thing, which is very cool, is that there is basically a social network that exists on Bloomberg, which is it has its own chat function. It's called IB, Instant Bloomberg. And anyone who has a Bloomberg terminal can chat with anyone else who has one. And this is
this is how people in Washington D.C. cheat on their wives. They use
That's
slide in through the Bloomy. What's your Bloomy?
Do you have? All right, is there a Bloomy app where you can use the chat feature on the go?
Like Facebook Messenger, but for Bloomy.
There is a mobile app. Yes, so there is a mobile Bloomberg app. Yes, and that app includes the chat feed.
This is actually fascinating. Okay, so you guys have your AOL. Basically, you have your own chat room. And does that mean that you guys aren't using sort of Slack or Teams or any of that? Does it all?
I work entirely over IB personally.
Wow.
People still chat over I still DM with people on Twitter or WhatsApp or whatever. But for work, I am entirely I entirely operate via IB.
It actually reminds me most of BlackBerry Messenger, which was
that network. And the thing is too. So the other element So obviously there's the very nice fact that anyone who has a Bloomberg terminal can IB with anyone else, but it also is integrated into the trading workflow such that, okay, you're my broker and I'm looking for bonds. And then, I put a quote in, I say I'm looking for this. And then the quote may auto populate within the chat or so forth. So it's a chat environment that is particularly well suited for people who have to communicate about things going on in financial markets.
Okay, now question: I'm an independent, financial expert, analyst, trader, etc. I have my house in Westchester. I have my office set up. I need a terminal. Where do I go to cop? How much does it cost?
You know what? I think if you search Bloomberg.net in your browser, there's probably a phone number to a salesperson, and I do not think Bloomberg News would be thrilled with me.
You're saying that if do you have to? I guess what I'm asking though is, do you have to prove your bona fides to get one?
No, I don't think so. No. I mean, I think if you pay, you pay.
Yeah.
You pay. I mean, again. Please do not hold. As far as I know, if you want a Bloomberg terminal and you want to buy one, or if you want to at least
subscribe,
I don't know what the formal thing is. If you want to subscribe to the Bloomberg software terminal, I think you call up a salesperson and they'll you'll find the price. And
I'll tell you what, if I was a certain kind of single guy in New York with a nice enough apartment, I think I'd have a terminal in the corner just so people see it.
Yeah, the termie in the corner gets them wet.
There's something really cool about having a terminal. I have,
I agree.
Okay, I just searched online. Sorry for interrupting y'all. A single user, one terminal annual subscription fee is $27,000 to $32,000 a year.
Yeah, that seems very reasonable for something of
What's
that.
the catch?
Yeah.
Costs as much as a Kia Sephora.
I mean, I think that for something that specialized, though, I've always been fascinated with those because it seems like
come over sometime.
I would love to.
Yeah, come
We'll
over
have a
sometime.
LAN party.
I can show you all the cool things.
You're like, here's a bunch of shit you don't understand. There's some games.
So that's one of those things where, like, we were talking about restaurants earlier, but like I've always talked about recently, like I hate when the barrier of entry to something is just merely the price. Like anyone can get into any club as long as you pay for it. This is one thing where the price feels about right, where like you have to care about this information enough and have $30,000 a year extra to do this, and you are deemed worthy of gaining access to this versus
cost of doing business.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a barrier of entry I approve of.
I've always been fascinated with that, though, and I'm glad. This is honestly the first time anyone's given me some straight answers on it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I love the terminal. I'm not just saying that. I love using the terminal. I want everyone to love the terminal. I'm not just saying that.
Question.
I'm not paid to say
As
that.
a question, though, if you're forced to use a regular machine, are you bumbling around? Like, do you know how to navigate? Do you feel lost without the terminal?
So, I mean,
How do you turn this thing on?
it used to be that the terminal. So the terminal is really fundamentally a piece of software that works on a PC.
Sure.
It wasn't always the case. There is a dedicated keyboard that actually has some different keys, and it has
Okay.
There's color coding involved.
but you can use it on any computer. It used to be, however, my understanding is it used to be that the terminal software was much more integrated to the hardware, because if you think about the fact that, like, prior to the widespread availability of the internet, being able to like communicate data from one computer to another was not a trivial thing. But yeah, I hate being on a computer that doesn't have the Bloomberg terminal software. I want to be able to, do all my charting functions.
Your wings are clipped.
Real time.
So
Yeah,
you're
that's right.
all right. So one of your kids is having a meltdown at the Mellow Mushroom, and you pull out the iPad to try to satiate them, and you're like, look, I can't fucking.
They
got
gotta
to
teach you how to use it.
You guys.
Yeah,
figure it out.
you're on your own. Go.
You
yeah.
fi- you-
Find
Okay,
some other
so
app.
yeah.
since you spend a lot of time on the terminal, you are a master of the markets. Is there any?
That's right.
What is stopping you from becoming a billionaire?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Great question.
I'm not a master of the market. I look, people ask various versions of this from time to time.
I just didn't know if is there like any type of because this is your
Yeah.
job, is the journalistic integrity? I'm not allowed to whatever it might be.
No, there are certainly rules about what, from a journalistic integrity standpoint, you can trade. It's very,
But I mean, if Pelosi's allowed to do it, why can't your ass? Is what I'm saying. You know
Great
what I
question.
mean?
Great question.
I mean, that is a great question. I mean, I think it's good that journalists aren't allowed to. First of all, it's good that journalists aren't allowed to trade for the integrity of the news organization. It's also good that journalists aren't allowed to trade because that probably saves them a lot of money, because most of them would do it terribly. Sure. I would say, generally speaking, most people should desire to work at a place that constrains them from trading, because most people would do better just in this sort of set it and forget it portfolio.
Yeah.
Just buy the index fund, maybe buy some treasuries, and then check in on a year. That's the most cliche financial advice in the world. It also happens to be pretty good, I think, for like 99.9% of people.
Depending on how many monitors you have in your living room.
Yeah. No, if you have 8 monitors, you could beat the market. That's for sure. But I only have space for 2, and so therefore I'm glad that I can.
Okay,
that I don't
so
trade.
are you technically not allowed to play the markets?
There are pretty serious constraints. Yeah, I don't play the market. Yeah,
but is this enforced by the law or by your employer?
The SEC or by the employer?
Bloomberg, I don't know. I think these are things. I think most news organizations within New York City will have their own set of rules. I don't I don't think there's any laws per se. I think that's just a good way to destroy the reputation of your company. But look, there's, we know that
don't talk about Barry Weiss like that. Don't talk about Barry Weiss like that.
There's news entities
we'll get to that
are like built on this. A few of them launch every few years. Someone has this idea that we're going to hire journalists to do investigative stories, and we're going to trade on the subjects of their investigative reporting prior to the story coming out, and that will be the business model of our newsroom. I don't know whether any of those have really been successful, but like, look, you could, in theory, have a hybrid sort of news org trading shop, and I'd say like that kind of exists. There are certainly newsletters on Substack and others that essentially have this like hybrid version of the business model where like someone is writing about the topic, but also, trading or whatever.
Same thing with a lot of sports gambling as well. Like,
Yeah,
here's
that's
what's
right,
going on,
that's
blah,
right.
blah,
So,
blah.
like-
and if I were you, I'd do this bet, this bet, this bet, this bet.
Yeah, and here's what I'm doing. Yeah, so like that, I don't think there's really any laws around this. It's more like how much do you want to have some self-respect for what you're publishing.
Okay, have people maybe with a little, anyone slid into your Bloomberg DMs and said, hey, I'll give you, I don't know, I'm going to zell you 100K if you tell me, I got 3 million, I want to know where to invest it, I'll pay you 10% or whatever. Do you get offers like that? Do you want offers like that?
No, I never have. Like no, I never have.
Unfortunately,
I would love
no.
to tell some story.
It's just dick pics mostly?
I would say, I guess. I was offered a life-changing fortune, and I didn't do it because I have such integrity. But actually,
Actually, funny about me, I was offered a life-changing amount of money, and I said no because of the self-respect.
I mean, at a certain point, can you retire? Can you put the jersey up in the rafters and just go start getting fucking big ass stacks of paper?
It's not obvious that like this is the thing, which is that people ask various versions of this question. They're like, oh, have you ever like thought about going to the other side, like being an investor, working at a hedge fund or a fund? And it's like, no, like I'm a journalist. I talk about what happened yesterday. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay.
And so like I don't think, and the other thing is, I by and large have come to think that most reporters, journalists, whatever, do not have the right mindset for the actual job of trading and investing. We're like sort of trained to be cynical, and like, take some like trend over the last several years, AI, crypto, etc. Like, if you're cynical and savvy about this, you missed out on huge runs. So like by and large, like you have to be a little bit.
it's a different kind of.
You have to. What I would say is like a lot of good investors have a certain, and I say is only in praise, like a certain foolish optimism, and you have to have that. And foolish optimism is not something I associate with a lot of people like in media, if I'm being honest.
No, I would agree. Foolish.
Foolish,
Foolish.
but not the optimism part.
You're too skeptiana for it.
That's right. Yeah,
You got to have brass
for real.
balls and silver balls.
I also wanted to ask about this sort of, because I feel like you were around for the boom of all these startups and private equity and all these investments, and I personally I think every idea is bad, and I don't. And when one works,
I know.
when one works,
This is our curse.
it's a curse. But
It's a curse.
when anyone's ever been like, oh, why don't you help me with this thing? I'll give you some equity. I'm like, I don't want equity. This isn't going to work. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? I want cash.
And then every once in a while something
That's the
works.
problem.
We're surrounded by people who like have actually made a ton of money because they actually just said yes for once in their lives, and you're like, oh, that's never gonna work. We're all we're the same. It's like that's not gonna work.
You know what? I'll take the stock. Fuck cash.
But I guess my question is, seeing so many of those, how many times have you thought to yourself like this one's gonna work? And it does. Like, how often are you surprised, I guess, is my question, as someone who knows this stuff a little more intimately than a layman.
This probably Tesla was the last one for you, Joe.
I'm surprised almost all the time when anything works, particularly in the media industry, specifically.
So you're saying that Semaphore getting $40 million is a surprise to you?
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
I'm
impressed. Is
impressed
how
too.
I put it.
Should be more like Sema 2 instead of Sema 4. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
But I guess my whole thing with this is that the whole like valuation culture, as someone who doesn't work in numbers or understand it that well, I'm always flabbergasted by like, wait, so you owe somebody $50 million technically, but you're worth $500 million based on some projection. It's just it all feels fake. That's my problem. It all feels like a spreadsheet.
No, if you think about imagine, let's just say a company gets a $40 million investment, right? Like in reality, at some point, the implication of that is that this is going to be a company that in the future is making tons of cash, such that the person who made this investment actually withdraws 40 million and multiples of 40 million in profit back out of the company. And they ultimately pay back the investor. I mean, but what happens most of the time is that the company gets a bigger valuation and either, maybe it gets bought out by another company and then the investors get paid back, or it goes public and then a bunch of public shareholders own it and then the investor sells theirs. But still the fundamental aspect of all investment is this idea that this will be a profitable enterprise that will produce so much cash because revenues are higher than costs, and those profits will be distributed back to those investors.
The EBITDA is fucking lit, so that's why we're doing
lit EBITDA.
140x.
Yeah,
if you think about an investment and you're like, oh, well, here's a $200 million company. I could see it maybe worth $500 million in a few years if they do well. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess I could see that. If you say, here's a $200 million company and I expect that in a few years they will be massively profitable such that cash will be returned to shareholders, like, no, that's so hard to imagine. Even though fundamentally it should kind of be the same thing.
Yeah. It is. No, you're right. It's different. It is different, but it feels the same.
But if you're just like, oh, you know what, the valuation will be higher, I'm not going to worry too much about actually a profitable enterprise that will pay back the shareholders and then some. If you're just thinking, oh, the valuation will probably be higher in a few years, it's like, okay, I can get my heads around it.
Yeah. I'll stick to that then.
Yeah, just invest in the companies with rising. It's that easy. Just invest in the ones where the valuation is going to go up.
Unfortunately, Joe, I'm not super liquid right now.
That's actually a good idea, Joe. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah.
That is financial advice.
Okay, Joe, did you get Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything like that back in the day or still currently?
This is the curse. I've been following it forever, but it's like, no, I'm like the most boring investor in the world.
So when you say forever, you had the opportunity to buy Bitcoin when it was...
We all did. It was just sitting there on Coinbase at like $10. Like, it was just sitting right there. Like, this is the thing, which is like, making a lot of money is just clicking a few buttons on your phone, but the problem is you don't know which button. It's like that joke that people have. It's like there's millions of dollars trapped in your phone right now, and the right sequence of buttons can extract that millions. It's like someone else is using their time tapping on the phone and sending a tweet. That's what I do. And someone else did those same thumb taps,
brother.
And they made tens of millions of dollars on Bitcoin, but they're all just thumb taps.
But I guess
it's just someone else tapped the right sequence.
Why do you think these alternative currencies attract the worst people on earth? Like, why do you think it? Because it seems like a pretty simple thing to be like, oh, I'm going to follow this, I'm going to invest in it, and then hopefully it'll pay off. But it attracts a certain kind of person that only wants to buy supercars and live in Miami penthouses and wear chrome hearts. And I want to know why.
Yeah. Well, look, here's what I would say about that. Like, I've thought about various versions of this question a lot, but so it's like, okay, here is this novel instrument, a cryptocurrency that doesn't fit into some sort of traditional schema, and we can't obviously identify the cash flows or why it's going to exist, et cetera, right? Okay. So the way I tend to think about a lot of these things is that there is some correlation between sort of normal beliefs and normal personality, right? And part of having a normal personality, part of just fitting into the world, part of being like a sort of functioning adult in society is more or less like, yeah, you know what? I'm mostly going to agree with other people on things. Maybe I'll pick my spots where I have a little bit of a distinct opinion or something. But by and large, I'm going to smile and shake people's hands. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, etc. And then there are some people who do not have that gene. They do not have that thing in their brain that tells them behave normally in society, but because they don't have that sort of like be a normal person gene, I do think some of them are more open to both extremely good and extremely bad ideas that other people don't believe in. I mean, I see it too in economics where it's like various schools of heterodox economics, or you probably like see them like, various like sort of, extremists of like unusual, like they tend to be weird. Like there's not in it, like you like think of like some like, some I don't know, whatever, some like Marxist or some like someone who believes in Austrian economics or something like that. There's no fundamental reason why sort of having a non-mainstream view of economics will cause those people to be just like a little different, except that there is this, they don't have that filter that sort of compels them to just nod and agree with everyone else on things. And so I do think that like people who are just sort of different than you and I are both, more open to both the good and the bad ideas.
I am built different than you guys. I agree.
I wish I was built like Jake Paul, and I'm not, and that's kind of that's what I think about every day.
For better or worse.
Joe, speaking of Twitter, do people in your circles give you shit for still being on it?
There's a few. I don't get that much hate for it.
Okay.
The funny thing is, so like I have a Blue Sky account that I post every once in a while.
That is funny.
And I'm only yeah, I know. But the thing is like every time I post there, like I'll post an episode or something. Every time I post there, people are like, what the hell are you still doing on Twitter? So I was like, well, you know what? I don't really want to post here anymore because I'm just reminded of the fact that you're mad at me for being on Twitter.
I've heard that the Blue Sky community isn't quite as friendly as they were once built.
The thing is, it's like they're the only
That's
ones
tea.
who remind me of how bad I am for still being on Twitter.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying you go through your daily life and it's fine,
Yeah.
but then you go on Blue Sky.
Yeah, so then I make the effort to do something else, and that's the only time I'm reminded that I'm a bad person for still posting on Twitter. So like, you know what? I'd rather just not be reminded of that, and so then I'm not there.
I didn't need.
It's a little bit perverse.
I didn't need a reason not to use Blue Sky, but I'll add that to the pile.
Yeah.
I'll add that to the pile.
They're the only ones who will tell you you're bad. So it's like, all right, I just don't.
You got to
wanna see
avoid that toxic space, Joe.
But I imagine you were on Twitter early days,
Early
much like
days.
Jason and I were.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
it. From back
tough.
when it was good. Yeah. There was a time for me personally. There was a lot for several years in the 2010s. There were two things, which is there really was a pretty rich community of people that really knew ball, like really knew finance, really knew markets, really knew economics, who were posting a lot of alpha on there, like genuinely novel things. People who really had a lot of deep subject matter expertise, and they were not the type of people that the journalists and newspapers like were talking to. So there were like voices that were emerging that I wouldn't have found elsewhere, like people who really knew their stuff, etc. And I think a lot of that really is gone. And I loved that. I met so many people who became friends or colleagues or people we've had on the podcast through like that. People like, and then I think like, unfortunately, quite a few of them left because they're like, wow, like there's just some slop of various forms. I still am entertained. I still find it useful to sort of, where is the zeitgeist, so to speak?
You still tell Grok to put people in bikinis. It's still fun.
Someone did that to me the other day.
Oh, really? Really?
yeah.
What color did they choose for you?
It was a black bikini.
I love the way you said that. I don't know why exactly.
I haven't
Like, but like I think
Grok.
like, but for all those people that were like, oh, I'm like, they're a serious person who's like a central banking or something. It's like, I just think like eventually people are like, I kind of had enough of this. Like most sane people, they're like, let's be real, I've kind of.
I mean, I think like when we were speaking of industry, I was watching the recent episode, and when there were the two people that were running the company and who were at odds, and the foreign bank investor who's now CFO is like, this is a serious company. He's not a serious person. And I think, the Twitter divide has been divided from serious people and not serious
Yeah, it
people.
kind of feels like it.
Do you feel like you're a serious person if you had to sway one way or another?
I think I think I'm the last. I mean, I think I'm a serious person. I also think I'm like
I'm
the
the
last.
last serious motherfucker on Twitter. Suck my dick.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
and I'm also like pretty normal. Like I just like I have very normal opinions on just about everything. I have like very normal tastes. No, I'm just like a really normal
How do you
guy.
feel about this?
And like,
normal?
Yeah, I'm just normal. It's like and so I'm always like talking to my wife. It's like, God, why can't people just be normal like you and I are anymore? Just have like normal political opinions, normal tastes, etc. But like, there's fewer and fewer of them.
Okay, normie rights matter is what the
But I
Weisenthal-
somehow I've spent the last, like what I was going to say is, somehow I've spent the last 15 or 16 years on this one app in which I have proceeded like one by one. So many people I know have like lost their minds in some way or like taken on some crazy persona. And I'm like, oh, I'm like a survivor. Like I'm the same guy I was like at 20. I'm older now.
I like that. You're crawling out of your foxhole.
I didn't lose my mind, and I don't really know how that is, but maybe I'm better than
I don't think I lost.
I don't think you have either.
I don't think
Because
I'm
you're
built
built different. Because you have a North Star, you have
That's
good
right.
discipline, you're not an idiot, but you're also not a dork ass, and there's few of
I'm
us
going to put that in my bio.
nowadays. You know,
Not a dork
I think,
ass.
yeah, not a dork ass.
I'll reword it.
Okay.
I didn't love it, but it was good. It got across the line.
I think that also there's just some people that are more affected by social media in every single way.
Yeah.
As far as like it's shaping your beliefs and changing your personality.
Oh, completely.
And I think
yeah.
you either kind of are that person or you're not, and that allows you to survive
At night,
differently.
you know, I think one thing that helps, honestly, is I have 2 kids. And at night, before I go to bed, I'll like scroll Twitter. And I was like, oh, the world is coming to an end. This is terrible. Like, society is completely cooked. And then the next morning, I was like, oh, I got to take my son to school and everything. Like, that walk to school is extremely normal. It's probably the same way people have been walking to school for 100 years.
It's normal for you, but your son's like, why is my dad on his phone the whole time while he's walking? And it's just a different, he's a little disappointed. But
Daddy has to reply to the haters now.
That's, you've like, unironically, you've like cut something deep there.
Daddy's got to reply to his haters now is really funny. Like, son, hold on one second. Hold on, sweetheart, just hold on one second.
The scary thing is that it's not a joke. I don't want to talk about it. I'm in this picture.
Okay.
I
We
don't
struck
want
a
to talk
nerve.
about this aspect.
This
of life.
reminds me
I don't
of.
like where this
speaking-
conversation is going.
Speaking of when Twitter was good, it reminds me of a tweet I just pulled up from rapper Tyler, the Creator, from 2012, so 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha, how the fuck is cyberbullying real? Ha ha ha, just walk away from the screen, close your eyes. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to
He
that.
said the N-word a few times and I chose not to.
There's
But
something to that where it's
you
like
know.
I turn on the screen and my life actually looks pretty normal and society does not feel cooked when I'm like walking around New York City taking my son to school.
yeah.
Or take him to the park. Last night we like played tennis against the handball wall in the park. And it's like that felt very normal.
nice.
We could have done that 20 years ago.
If you didn't have kids, you could have been listening to a podcast while you did that. Just something to think
Well,
about.
that's the thing, and then that would contribute to the cooking of my mind. So I have to have this like outlet of normality.
Yeah, but you don't have to listen to doom and glooms. You don't have to listen to Tim Dillon talking about how, society is collapsing. You can listen to How Long Gone, where we just
That's right.
try to
That's
figure
right.
out what Emma Stone had done to her face this year.
Yeah,
you know?
important stuff. But it seems like you have a pretty healthy. I feel like you have a pretty healthy media intake. I would assume it's quite robust, but it doesn't seem like you're going down the dark alleys of Reddit or whatever.
No, I'm like, I never go down like crazy rabbit holes or like, oh shoot, it's 3 a.m. and I've spent the last 5 hours like watching like manosphere videos about protein or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, like I like
You haven't started hitting your face with a hammer just quite yet.
No, I haven't done. I'm not engaged in any looks maxing currently or anything like that.
Okay, well, I wonder, because we're all around the same age. You're 2 days older than me, actually. I just
Really?
checked it. We're all Virgo podcasters,
Amazing.
cis white men. But anyway, I was thinking. Wait, I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. You're distracted. I understand. We have a guy of this magnitude. The pressure's on. That's the problem when you.
You guys are so starstruck by talking to a Bloomberg podcast host.
Honestly, Joe, when you link up, you know this. When you record a podcast with a fellow podcaster of a certain stature, the work is sort of not on you. You know what I mean? It's Jason and I could say 3 words for the next hour, and you're going to take it from there, and we're going to be all fine.
We're both I want to impress you guys. You want to impress, it's like it's
You're chocolate, we're milk. Put us together. It's a nice blend. On our own, it's great.
yeah. No. This is I say this to like I don't like it's not we do not have other podcasters on that often, but we do from time to time. And it's exactly what I said. It's like, oh, it's so easy to talk to them. They just like know how to do it. It's so, they know the rhythms. They don't give a 7-minute answer or something like that. And
but you've been doing this for
10 years?
long time.
Yeah.
Like more than a decade, correct?
That's right. November or October of last year, we did 10-year anniversary, or was our 10-year birthday?
What do you think has? Obviously, besides an influx of people, like what do you think has changed most in that side of the business? Like as far as someone who's been doing it twice a week for 10 years, like what is the biggest change you've seen?
Like at the beginning, there was no business, right? I mean, it's interesting. There was no podcast business. I've said this publicly, Bloomberg, when we started Odd Lots, there was no podcast team that existed. At the time, we went to the head of radio, and the head of radio was like, okay, you can have 30 minutes of radio studio time to record your podcast, and I'll give you some help to edit it. But there was no podcast business or podcast team. And that was very fortuitous to us because no one listened to the podcast for the first 4 or 5 years. Had there been a podcast team or a business, like maybe 6 months or a year in, they're like, no one listens
Like,
to
what are we
this.
doing?
We're pulling they're pulling the plug. So the biggest change is that people recognize that there is such a thing called the podcast business. And then that creates all these, different dynamics where it's like, it's probably harder within the context of any large media organization or any organization at all to just let something run forever because it's fun to do, because it's like, where's the math? And so I do think it's the fact that it's become a business that's probably changed it. But, we've gotten way better about building intuitions of what our listeners like, and we're better interviewers and various things like that. We're just better at the job than we were.
Yeah,
I mean, I can't go back and listen to those. It's painfully cringe to go back and listen to our 2015
I can't listen. I can't listen to what we did last week. So
No, I
I feel you.
can't do that. I can't actually do that either. It's I find it very difficult to listen to myself.
Do people come up to you in the street and stuff? Is it like how often do you get recognized? And not just at like a financial conference. I'm saying
what neighborhood do you have to avoid?
you can't go to FIDI. You can't go to FIDI without bodyguards.
You know what? It's honestly, it's semi-regular. I don't know. It happens with some regularity. My daughter hates it. I'm still very flattered by it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
every time I was like, I am genuinely so thankful that anyone would take their time and listen to podcasts, and that's what I do professionally. So I actually love not just the flattery of someone being recognized, but I want to talk to the person. I want to ask them questions because I want to know what they do and why they heard it.
I like that.
I love chatting.
They're like, bro, I just wanted to say I like the podcast.
That's right.
Tell me why you love me, please, in front of my daughter.
yeah, leave me alone.
Okay,
bro.
well,
You got kids and shit.
speaking of the podcast business model, obviously we have Patreon, we have subscriptions, we have access to the Discord where you can go and chat with Joe. There's advertising that you do. But another thing that Chris and I do is brand deals, things like that. You do live events and things like that, but
We do live events.
are you allowed to do brand deals? Are you allowed to be an influencer, or is that cross the line too?
No. I mean, no.
And what's the difference between you doing an ad read on a podcast versus you doing an ad post on Instagram?
We don't do many ad reads, but it's it goes through. I am a employee of Bloomberg, and it's actually, there's actually an important thing, which is I am very happy that I do not have to make these sort of decisions about brand stuff. And the example that always comes to mind, I guess it was 2022. Oh yeah, it was early 2022, and we got an email from someone at FTX, and they're like, oh, we'd love to have you at our event in the Bahamas, and we'd pay you to come down and stay at a hotel and all of this stuff and do whatever. And you could imagine I was like, we don't do that. We're never going to accept payment to appear somewhere. We're never going to accept payment at hotels. If you're an independent business and part of your model was appearing at events, you imagine, well, should we say yes to this? People do speaking fees, etc. I am very glad that I was not on stage as a paid guest of Sam Bankman-Fried in spring of 2022, because that would have looked terrible. I didn't even think about that. I would never. I would never consider trying to make that work. Then, I think there are good reasons to have, from a sort of, especially from if you're in the news business, to have pretty good, robust rules so that you're not even thinking about these things, who you want to be associated with. It just doesn't come up, and I'm very glad.
No, I think that's freeing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's very freeing.
I
I just don't want to think about having to I don't want to make the decision.
Don't even drive past the Pinkberry, and you won't ever feel tempted. Okay, well,
That's right.
I don't want you to say, feel uncomfortable saying anything you don't want to say publicly. You said you are a happy salaried employee, but is the success of the podcast alter that at all? Are there commissions based on performance, or regardless of how well the show performs, do you make the same amount of salary?
I'm gonna avoid salary talk. Well, look, here's what I could say, unironically and just completely sincerely, and this is not fake in any way, is that Bloomberg is such a natural fit for Odd Lots, because the main thing is we do want to reach a professional audience. Bloomberg is core to the professional audience. Like the sort of like we do want to have conversations that involve like let's seriously dive into these things. So it's like
also, I would like to say Bloomberg is a blue chip brand. That it's not like it's not like a upstart podcast network.
Yeah,
it's like there's a level of respect
there's
built-in.
a level of respect and network, and we have offices literally all around the world.
It's no big money players brought to you by Will Ferrell. Is
yeah,
that what you're saying?
yeah. This
So,
isn't
like,
Dear Media.
Without
This
getting too much into business specifics of my life, like it is a great fit. It's like the best home that I could imagine.
Say less.
No,
Queen,
I think
say less.
I think it's I think these situations are interesting because it's happening more and more.
Yeah, for
where
sure.
These media companies.
I look at my bank account. I said, "This is a great fit. I love it."
when the media companies invest in these podcasts and the podcasts sort of get big enough to operate on their own.
Yeah, I think that like you see this happening, which is every legacy media organization of various sorts wants to like, well, how can we like have our like Substackers in staff, right? Like they're all trying to figure this out. How can we have our capital T talent and they'll be the brand and we'll be the platform for them?
Like CBS with Bari Weiss.
And I think it's really hard for most of them to figure it out. Like I think it's like really tricky, and I think there are various like reasons that it's like really much harder said than done. Because intuitively you think like, okay, X newspaper, like I think the New York Times has figured it out better than most, but I think it is really hard for an organization to like find that line where the quote talent, which I hate that word, but we all know what it means. The quote talent has their brand, but also they're like they're creating some enterprise value along with the umbrella brand.
No, I mean, I think Popcast is a good example of that. And I think that's one of the better, like speaking of New York Times, but I do think the other option is sort of like you want to get into these spaces that are somewhat uncharted territory for you as a media company. If you want some of these bigger names, they're making too much money to come work anywhere. Like why would they do that?
Why would I have my show on Netflix when I can just do it on YouTube?
I mean, the math just there's all kinds of screwy media math. I mean, there's the fact that like people will stop subscribing to newspapers and then end up paying like 5 times as much as what they were spending on newspapers for Substack subscriptions. There's like unbundling, which has like caused everyone's media consumption budget to go up. But then for some reason, like they would not then like pay for the New York Times, even if it included like 5 news. There's just like
no, it makes no that shit is crazy to me. Like that
Wordle is the main thing that tips people over if they're going to subscribe.
Like spending $100 a month or whatever on Substack and then not subscribing to a single newspaper or like a magazine, like New Yorker or Harper's or whatever.
But that seems very common. Yeah, that's become like very common. But it's a strange thing where for some reason people will just click that credit card button for Substack, and not for like a publication that could have 10 newsletter writers.
I think
are great.
Well, I mean, a newspaper is really just a collection of newsletters, if nothing else. I mean, really, when you think about it, I don't want to.
Edibles kicking in now. Woo!
But I find that to be so fascinating because I still don't think there's anything more. I don't know, the feeling of like picking your newspaper up from the from the front desk or the front yard. It ain't the same as opening fucking 15 newsletters and sifting through to see if there's anything good you want to read. It's just a different.
Yeah,
I think,
it's totally different. Yeah,
but I think that goes back to the conversation we have all the time about gatekeepers and sort of like somebody organizing these things and giving it a reason to exist under one umbrella. And how Substack, you're right. It's like I have to get 15 of these to find the 2 or 3 that I like.
And everyone has had this idea of like some sort of federation of like, right? Like you've seen this like, oh, like why don't we brand and we'll be? I don't know. It doesn't seem to work. It's not as far as I know.
It's never gonna work. It's never gonna work. It's also like this is something I think Odd Lots serves a similar purpose. But I think the Substack newsletters that succeed aren't entertainment based. They're sort of like you're getting something. It's service. Like you're learning something, you're getting something. It's leading you to buy something you want. It's giving information you don't have otherwise. Whereas like Jason and I are in the entertainment business. Like we do this because it's fun and we want people to have fun and laugh and enjoy it. And other people, the most listened to podcasts beyond like a Joe Rogan or Call Her Daddy are these like 20-minute news, the daily type shows or the Globalist or whatever that are, I mean,
it's like watching paint dry.
But people still, luckily, feel the need to be informed.
I think the variety is fun, and sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose, and that's fine. Because even for us, even when it's painful for us, it's funny for somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
A bad podcast can be good if you want to walk towards the darkness. You know what I mean?
But what is
That's
what
right.
is your attitude towards entertainment? Like, do you feel like you're providing a service? Do you feel like you're providing entertainment? Do you want
Yeah.
it to be a little bit of both?
I want it to be a little bit of both. I mean, I do think it's really important. I want to genuinely learn something. And I want someone to have, like, oh, I'm going to dedicate 45 minutes to an hour of listening to this podcast and come away knowing something more about the world. I think that's like, but, I also think, like, it's got to be fun. It's got to be funny to some extent. It's got to be interesting. It's got to be lively.
What podcasts do you listen to for entertainment, not for educational purposes?
I don't listen to podcasts, really.
I guess what sources of media?
Spoken like a true pro. Spoken like a true pro.
The thing is I've said before, I'm in a newsroom all day. All I do is talk, and people are talking to me. I play music. I'm in a band. I'm in a country music band. When I have a chance to put on headphones, which is not that often, because I'm like either around my kids or in the newsroom all day, I want to listen to music.
Hold
instead.
the fuck on. Let's get into your country bona fides. What are we talking about here? You guys sound like Sunvolt. Like, what's the vibe?
I listen to a range of stuff. Hank Williams Jr., George Strait, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, and then I like a lot of the I love Hardy. I like Morgan Wallen. I like Ernest. I've been listening to the new Zach Bryan album, which is actually extremely good.
Okay.
Someone described the new Zach Bryan album, and this is the best. It sounds exactly like every other Zach Bryan album.
That was
so
me.
It's good. Oh, that was you.
That's my tweet. That's my tweet.
It's
It's like
funny.
every Zach Bryan song sounds exactly like every other Zach Bryan song, but it's a great song.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
though.
it's great.
You're right.
This food tastes like a smash burger with fries.
Yeah, it's great.
I didn't know
take it.
you were. I didn't know you were. Are you from the South? What is your?
I went to college in Texas.
Okay.
And my
is
wife's
that when
from
you
Mississippi.
discovered? Okay, so that's when you discovered the twang.
You were in Austin, though, right?
Yeah, Austin. So you could.
It wasn't no Landman.
It was not Landman, which I love.
You went down to Tech.
I love. But I think it was. So I was living in Vermont when I was in high school, but I felt drawn to the South. Like I felt like, and I felt like I was I'm a Jewish guy from Detroit who was living in the Northeast, but I felt like this pull of the South and like play country music and stuff, and that's what I sort of made that happen.
Hey, welcome
Yeah.
home, brother.
Yeah,
as a southern man, no Neil Young myself. I find it to be. It's funny to me because I think it's more accepted now that is also like more. This is like popular music in some way, whereas before
It
I
is,
think
yeah,
it was very much.
Popular racist music.
I play guitar, and I have a G&L A-set, which is kind of like their equivalent of a Telecaster, which is the classic country guitar, and I'm in a band. And listeners, go check out Light Sweet Crude. We're on Spotify.
Okay, so you're in a band. Who is in the band with you?
There's a few of us. The cast sort of rotates, but there's a core. There's two other guys that have been there from the very beginning. My friend Paul Williams. He has a think tank here in New York City dedicated to housing. Also a great songwriter. I know.
I got a housing think tank.
That's right. And then our bassist is an economics professor at John Jay University. I know.
This is awesome.
And our original drummer
This is awesome.
It's really fun, but our songs aren't jokes. So people think we're gonna sing songs about the Fed and stuff like
Does
that.
it look like on The Office when all the guys play music in the warehouse?
We play in our bassist
And everyone's
basement
wearing a
these
gray
days,
suit?
but we try to write serious songs, and they're fun.
I like that. No, I think this is a great outlet, and I love. I just feel like Jason and I associate with so many people who make music professionally.
That's cool.
That at this point, I'd say I rarely come across people who do it just for the love of the game. Like really, I mean, like honestly,
You know what
I
happened?
really-
So I'll tell the reason. Several years ago, I had a birthday party, and I put on a country music playlist, and a friend of mine who hates country was like, "I'm gonna drink till I like country," and I turned to my wife. I was like, "That's a great title of a song. Like, I'm gonna drink. We're gonna." So I wrote the song. We're gonna drink till you like country, and I recorded it into my iPhone. I wrote it in a weekend. I recorded it into my iPhone. I uploaded it to SoundCloud. And then I tweeted it. I said, if anyone's in Nashville and likes the song, like sell it to an artist. And someone from Nashville reached out. They're like, this is actually a very good song. I think I could sell this. And he was from a very serious, he's like, this is actually, you wrote a really good song here. Mm-hmm. He got 2 singers in Nashville to record demo versions of it. And then a label put a hold on the song, but then none of their artists bit. So it didn't end up selling. But I did have the experience of a record label putting a hold. And then I had the bug. I was like, I was so close to getting a song published or a song recorded by a recording artist.
You started walking around the house like Sam Smith. You got all my plaques behind me.
So I was like,
what's for breakfast, babe? I got to get back in the studio.
And that I was I could taste it. And so then I was like, all right, I got to start playing. And that's when, after that, because I had come so close to actually selling a song in Nashville, that I was like, all right, I at least got to scratch that itch and start playing.
Dude, that's a great story. I mean, what more push do you need than that? That's the greatest push I've ever heard.
Maybe we can change it. Since you already love country music, you don't need to drink to the point where you love it. So
that's right. I don't need to, but some
drink
people
till
do.
I love hyper pop. Maybe something you could get into. I don't know.
I'll try to sell it. I write ones for various genres and just sort of
every
market them around and
every genre
niche.
Yeah. That's a good. Okay, so So in your free time, you're making music. You're watching some television or whatever. But for the
doing
most
anything
part,
but listening to a podcast.
That's right. That's basically accurate.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, Jason's different than me. I listen to one podcast basically, and Jason listens to all of them. To sort of understand the landscape.
Yeah, it kind of. That actually reminds me of the question that I forgot to ask you. You mentioned paying attention to lots of news sources, but you in your position, are you the type of guy? This is something that I hope to get into later on in life, even though we're the same age. But like, not just going to one news source, but actively going. I'm gonna do Fox News, Al Jazeera, Newsmax, Truth Social, Drudge Report. Are you getting the full tapestry of the news, or are you just sticking to one?
I'm not just sticking to one. I'm certainly not getting the quote full tapestry. I'm not
the tapestry. I would say the tapestry is too large
I should, right?
These days.
Like I should know what they're talking about on Newsmax probably more than I do. I should know.
Right.
I don't. I'm not. Like my inbox is a very good source of news because
are you a big newsletter subscriber? Speaking of,
I actually subscribe to a fair number of newsletters. I'm that person who has a consumption budget that doesn't really make any sense. That's why I can speak to this.
I am that bitch.
So I have various newsletters.
Well, you can subscribe on Substack without giving them money.
That's true, and
that's how I do it.
I don't know anything about
goose
that.
eggs.
And is that real?
Can't get $1 out of me.
And then, like the Bloomberg terminal, which again, so the other thing on the Bloomberg terminal is all these newsletters on that. So I like all the Wall Street Journal, all the New York Times, all these articles are actually available on the terminal. So I read a lot of news just on the terminal. The top page on the terminal is sort of like our front page of the news. Is like a good, mostly Bloomberg stories, but curated a little bit. So I read that a lot. I read a lot of it's not really news per se, but I kind of think it is, which is, the analysts on Wall Street send out research memos on whatever it was the event of the day and whatever. And I read a lot of that, which isn't news per se, but it's close enough.
It's news to you.
That I could. Yeah, it's news to me, and it sort of helps me understand. So I read a lot of sell side research and stuff like that.
So you're telling me that these analysts, and they're doing this for free? They're doing this for the love of the game?
No. So the way the business works is that you have a brokerage shop. Let's take a Morgan Stanley or something like that. And then there will be a guy at Morgan Stanley who writes about autos, and he'll regularly write reports about the state of the auto industry and stuff like that. And the idea is these reports go to people who trade regularly with Morgan Stanley.
I see.
And so it is sort of this service of the banks. It's not just for the love of the game, but people will trade
for their clients
with Morgan
to be
Stanley,
informed.
and then they could talk to the guy, right? So there's I like this, but I have some more questions about, where GM and Ford are in the electric car race or whatever, based on this note. So these are services provided by the brokerages as a reason to do some of your trading activity with them.
That's Look, I as an information lover, maybe I'll. Oh,
yeah. No, it's great.
What? All right, let's go top 5 banks of all time. What do you got?
Deutsche.
Are we going? Yeah, are we going? Yeah, let's
Silicon
start.
Valley Bank. My contrarian take for a long time. My contrarian take for a long time is that Silicon Valley Bank is the type of bank that we want more banks to be, because and I say this unironically, the thing about them is they really like customized their offerings to a specific type of client, which was, of course, VCs and tech startups and hold your money.
Rich
This
versions.
is like this. There, I mean, that created this phenomenon of like depositor concentration risk that was not good. But it's like what you think of like banking. Like they actually like know their clients' needs and they had differentiated offerings and so forth. So I've sort of been disabused of this notion a little bit, but I did hold a thing for some time after they blew up. It's like kind of too bad. That was a good bank. That was a good. They made a few mistakes. And
it's like a small independent credit union for a local neighborhood. It's the same kind of vibe.
Yeah. Except the neighborhood was Silicon Valley, and they're like local.
Just a little more money.
Yeah,
we wanted SVB to make it,
but I kind of liked SVB.
I told this story once before, I think, but I went to Silicon Valley years and years ago to shoot something that involved Google, and I was at the Google office, and I was like trying to make small talk with these fucking mouth breathers, and I was like, hey. Where do all the CEOs go for lunch? Like, what's the Nobu of Silicon Valley? And they were just like, we don't leave for lunch. They provide that here for us.
What are you talking about?
I was like, yeah, no, I know, but you know what I mean.
Like where do they go?
But like, where do they go? And people were just like, they did
so
not
funny.
understand the
Tim
concept
Apple gets to go out for lunch,
of
probably,
like a hot
right? Where does
lunch
he go?
spot. They like did not.
It just
understand.
did not compute. That's so.
They're like they provide that for us here, and then we take the bus home back to it was just all so insane. I was like, these people are not for me.
They're locked in.
They are locked in.
They're too locked. They're so locked. Like a chastity belt. Okay. I wanted to circle back to Bari Weiss and CBS really quick as we're closing out. CBS, they're speculating a segment, Whiskey Fridays, powered by Jack Daniels, where they have a giant Jack Daniels banner on the background, which is sort of co-opting the podcast business model, having the cans of Liquid Death or Happy Dad or whatever shit is sponsoring your pod. Is that a foolish thing? Is that the beginning of the end, or is that the way network television is going to have to go?
I think that every new executive producer who enters the TV business from another industry always has the thoughts, what if we could create Talking at a Bar? This is just like everyone has this thing. What if we could create? And
are you talking about Club Random?
So I don't know if you remember Fox Business, when it launched, they had a show that was recorded at I forget which hotel it was in New York City, but it was
at the Capitol Grill. It looked
something like that. So everyone who is new to a news organization, they're like, we're going to shake things up. We're going to liven it up. What if we could recreate just you and I chatting over some drinks at a bar? And so when I saw that about Whiskey Fridays, like, yep, there it is. There's the idea. But they have a sponsor for it, so good for them.
But I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
That is true. But I think the big difference being, this is the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, network television or cable television has had a giant alcohol sponsor billboard essentially on the backdrop of their show.
I mean, look, I don't blame anyone for trying to find $1 in network news.
Okay.
I mean, like,
I don't blame anyone for finding $1 anywhere.
So what if you're on a set right now for Odd Lots podcast? What if Bloomberg was like, we're going to throw Jack Daniels banner behind you, we're going to throw 818 tequila behind you, or Zin, or whatever it is? Are you going to say, sounds good, get your money, playa? Or are you going to say, break me off 50 stacks or else I'm out of here?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. This is the nice thing about it. I will just say again, this is me being sincere again. It's nice to work for a really serious, successful
because
organization.
I mean, no, but that's Jason.
Yeah.
That really is the difference. Is like they ain't gonna do that,
right?
Because it's working. When it ain't working, you start getting desperate. And you start going to Kentucky looking for barrels, to put in the background of the segment.
Right. No, I know what you mean. Like certain I think hotels, the Carlisle, the Chateau, there's certain things where like we do things a certain way and we're never going to waver. We're never going to, go the cheap way. We're never going to do some dumb, we send you an app that you have to download to get the Wi-Fi or whatever it may be. There's none of that horse shit, and there never will be. And that's how you keep your customers for life.
Keep the customer satisfied, as they say.
That's right.
Joe, can you send me the MP3 file of
Yeah, we'll send that.
of drink till
You
you,
can just
like
send,
country.
you have my email.
Oh
Or-
yeah, I could. Oh, I thought you were on the audio. Yeah, I will send you.
I mean, I will need the wave or the A file of this conversation from your beautiful producer, but I would also like the song so we could throw it at the end of the episode.
I will shoot it over.
We need all of this for this.
Shoot it down. When we have a lot of
Okay.
people who listen who are in the biz, so maybe we'll get picked up.
Yeah, this could be your. Yeah, you get a publishing deal. You move the family down to Nashville.
Yeah, you shouldn't have been sniffing around Nashville when we could have been in Burbank the whole time.
You know what? I had an opportunity to go down there for like a song. I was busy. I don't. It's too.
2026,
too
we're gonna
triggering. But,
figure out a way.
Yeah, but please, if you have listeners, if you're in the biz, we could get one of your stars to cover a Light Sweet Crude song. We'd love to license.
There we go.
Okay.
He's like this is the thing. This guy's money minded, Jason. That's
Bubble
what we're
and
always
brew.
doing.
That's it. Yeah. And closing the sale right here.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me. That was a blast.
You guys listen to Odd Lots wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
All right. Take
All
care.
right, thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Later, bro.
We're gonna drink till you like country music. Just need a jukebox, tequila, and some lime. We're gonna drink till you like country music, even if it